Hi there everybody, my name is Kate and welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens Naturally. Ooh, do I have a whole lot I want to say today. These are all timeless messages because they apply no matter when you would be listening. However, it's relevant right at the particular moment because we're in a shutdown process with the U.S. government. And I want to talk not so much about that. There's so much that could be said of all that hypocrisy and the bullshit, quite frankly, that you got your eye on the wrong ball over there. And that's exactly why I'm here, is we have people who operate on some level of believing that because they have something that they can criminalize what someone else does not have and is asking for assistance. And that's just a hardline, cruel stance to take, in my opinion. Entitlement is really something that's ugly, and none of us, not a one of us, is entitled to anything other than the breath that we breathe, the one that we gasp and grasp when we come out of the womb. That's the one that we're entitled to have. And then by being an Earth citizen, we are guaranteed food, water, safety, and shelter, right? No, we're not. It depends on where you live. It depends on what economic bracket you grew up in, and it depends on your hustle and your game and whether or not you're worthy. And this has been something that I have struggled with watching my entire life. Piranha people who talk about those who don't deserve, especially the self-righteous ones who are standing in holy positions of their far right, their far left, or their far bizarre. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care what someone thinks in terms of their philosophy with politics and whether they're whatever party. I align with the fact that we are all human beings. We all require food, water, safety, and shelter for us to have a life that's, the beginnings of livable. Beyond that, that would be where we can get into our hustle. However, we shouldn't have to hustle for food. We shouldn't have to hustle for a way to find some housing. And yes, there are people bilking the system. However, when you start punishing children early on with criminalizing the fact that they're hungry and their parents can't pay for it, and then you have some minister person talking about, well, they should, really? That sets up so many problems. And worse, they're in politics. I thought we moved out of a place and moved into a new place that didn't operate on that church and state thing being all bunched up and glumped up together like that, because it makes a big old holy bullshit mess, just like we see. However, let me not stand on my platform too hard. Let me get back to reality, which is that it creates so many troubles and problems for children who don't understand poverty, except that they're on the end of it, and I'm hungry and I don't get stuff for Christmas, and mom and dad are angry, and all of this. And to make these blanket statements about, well, those people that don't have jobs, they don't have this, they just sit around, what, shooting heroin all day? Yeah, I'm sure there are people that do that. There absolutely are. We can look at the stats on it. However, it just flush people away like they're disposable. There isn't anyone on this earth that is disposable. Now, I promise you, there's a whole bunch of people that I'm not going to sit down and break bread with. However, I would not do anything to get in the way of them having bread. It's just, we're not all sitting at the same table. That's all. It's just, your table needs to be over there because your behavior sucks, and that's about it. However, behavior being criminalized, as in, I'm hungry, I might need to steal something to put some food in my mouth, that's starting early with children who can't get free lunch or SNAP benefits or WIC or whatever assistance it is. And when we're starting to talk about children, you are setting up children in a very angry, toxic, nasty environment to begin with. And then you're going to pull all the resources and the ability for that little seed of wonder to grow up and be far less than it could be and continue the cycle that we're in now. If somebody would just call the code on this and say, yeah, dead this, as in not dead the people, dead the concept. If there is any government, any official, anybody, anywhere that can stand in piety, especially my religious folks and even those spiritualists, they're my favorite, the ones, the false light people. Oh, they just really confuse things a whole lot sometimes. But if there's someone standing around believing that they are holy and they're especially using The Bible, those are the ones I want to go on an immediate takedown with and say, what are you saying? And last I heard, Jesus didn't say a thing about pulling resources from people as a means of punishment. As a matter of fact, the man died on the cross. Last I heard, unless I didn't hear that whole story correctly, you know, could be, I'll own up to my ignorance, but the last I heard was that that was a man who was martyred by close inner circle, which had the good sense the next day to go and explode in the woods somewhere, do whatever. Judas at least did understand, oh, I did a bad thing. We still have folks that are confused on the Judas thing. Judas is you, it's you, and whatever you do. But Jesus did not go up onto that cross bearing the burdens that I'm reciting the story I hear. I don't align with, you know, all parts of the story. However, I'm going to stick with it because that's the one I hear repeated so often. So let's stay with the holy book that's repeated most often in that story, so that we get a consistent understanding and we don't get all the bullshit that comes with, I only want a little piece of this and not that. I like to select what I want to out of the truth and, you know, leave the rest. No, let's select the truth and don't be taking just what you want to hear out of the truth. Take the truth. That man carried the burden, according to the big book, the good book, of the entire race of humanity. That I take all these burdens and I'm going to hang up here on this cross and be slaughtered. Every beautiful sheep, lamb part of me, that I'm becoming the shepherd for the rest of you. And the last words that I remember hearing about that he said was, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And when I see politics running it hard the way that it is, and we have sexual predators, we have people who are standing up holding their AR, shut please your mouth, and making Christmas cards, and at the same time spouting Jesus Christ while they're being groped in a theater and vaping and doing all kinds of illegal stuff. And we've got children involved that can't call cops because, well, do you know who I am? Do you hear the inconsistency? 707. Do you hear the inconsistency and the hypocrisy and why we have a fan base of any kind? I'm not talking just far-right MAGA. I'm not talking about any one select group. I'm talking about an entire population that is still stuck in an old timeline of believing that because I got mine, it doesn't matter. I was able to get mine. Well, did you possibly think beyond just right here in a very short-sighted vision of very narrow view, is it possible that maybe other people aren't you? They don't have your story. I went from being a woman that had, you know, a decent life and, you know, several $1,000s to work with every month to, because of junior varsity players and pee-wee players who couldn't handle their emotions, it went from, you know, fairly profitable to you now single and you're going to be starving. And I'm an educated woman with a bachelor's degree and a whole lot of certifications to do a whole lot of other things as well, and an educated paramedic. I mean, I've seen this stuff working its way out on the street and it's horrible. And I've spent a lot of time working in mental health, being a part of mental health, trying to unravel all the idiocy that for the first 50 years made no sense to me. But it appears, by all accounts, that I should have been able to do this. And I was absolutely hungry for days at a time because I simply didn't have money, period. Now, and I was not well. I couldn't drive. I couldn't get medication. If I'm not buying food, I'm not buying medication. And at the time that that was happening, I was the illest I had ever been and needed so much support medically that I was not able to get because I couldn't pay for the Uber, I couldn't pay for food. Then medication is an issue. And there were self-righteous holy people, I mean people with titles in churches and titles in their home at a minimum, but people in sanctimonious places sitting around finding that all hilarious, 909, and I could get over that even. However, the idea that you're not hearing, seeing, or understanding that, no, this is not about education, it's not about somebody's hustle, it's not about somebody's willingness to do what it takes. We have people who walk miles and miles and miles and miles and miles for fresh water, clean water of any kind in undeveloped nations. Why do we still have third world countries? And why do we still get right down to it? Why do we still have third world conditions in the United States of America, where we have politicians and holy people standing around self-righteously doing stuff that I don't remember hearing any of that? And when people start spouting to me all the black words out of the Bible, shut it down. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. What I want to hear is those red words. Those are the only ones. The last I heard, the rest of that was interpreted through a prophet or some other patriarchal whatever it is, you know, and we don't have a hard and fast on any of it. So the truth is that the best words out of the Bible that aren't controversial at all are the ones that Jesus are attributed to what Jesus said. Those are the red ones. And I didn't hear anything about punish those people because they don't have money. Punish those people because they have children. They keep having children. Do you suppose that when we put people in a cycle where they have no way to handle their issues, that you're putting them in a position where they're going to be left with very few things to choose from? Me personally, I got accused of turning into a drug dealer and a hooker online, and that's what people thought of me. But the truth is that I would never have sold my soul to that degree. I was willing to die on a floor before I would sell my body or my soul any longer than I already had. And I got so very tired of being punished by people who did not operate under that same standard. That's not my fault, 11:11. And I also didn't want to punish them and didn't pursue a whole lot of what I could have legally because I just wanted to be done with it. That you're all shocking and you're letting me know that the confirmation for years and years and years of I'm not sure, but I think I can't trust you. When somebody leaves another person vulnerable and absolutely knows about it, that you're hungry, you need medical care, you need this, you need that, I'm gonna leave you right there because I don't care anymore. I'm more dedicated to my egoic position of I'm gonna be right in this and you're not gonna make me wrong, 1144. You're not gonna challenge me about my theology. And I cannot abide, nor will I stand by and ever put my finger up towards support and say, yeah, I agree with that. That's a thumbs up. That's 2 thumbs down and a whole lot of curse words right behind it, quite frankly, of no, we don't have time for that. If you want to spout Bible stuff, then live Bible stuff. If you want to be all, talking Jesus Christ, then walk those sandals like you've got some class, like you understand and like you get it, that you've assimilated the information. But when we have people that are standing around picking and choosing what they want to out of that Bible and all those black words, which, we only have about 45 bazillion different iterations of the Bible, so I'm not sure which one we're going to go with. Well, of course, this one is the standard. There's no standard when there's 45,000 different iterations of it. So that's why I have trouble launching into anything other than full frontal of when people show up talking about Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ consciousness has a whole lot more compassion for humanity. That's why the man came here, was to try to turn around what was already a terrible paradigm. And we're how many hundreds and thousands of years later? We're at least a few, and we're still slow believing bullshit stories about a sexual predator coming down a gold escalator. I've had enough. I'm just done. I'm done with it. 1313. That if we really want to make a comparison in our government, especially, I'm sorry, I thought we left that a building where we used to live, that they oppressed us religiously and stuff and tried to govern us through our religion and all that. I thought we moved out of that and moved to a brand new place. Well, whatever. But when I'm hearing people talking about the comparison between a living human being who's a sexual predator and has been designated as such, that you're going to compare that to the man who is willing to come here and suffer the burden for the entire collective of humanity. Whether I agree with the story or not, I'm understanding the comparison. I happen to agree. However, please don't tell me that there's going to be any part of that story that's reality that you're going to assign to a regular old human being that same quality of sacred and understanding what divinity truly is, and compassion and humanity and the ability to offer forgiveness, softness, and compassion. 1414. Even for the fools who are letting that stuff come out of their mouth. I have a great deal of compassion for people's level of ignorance. However, there's a point at which that will kill you when you don't recognize it. It will kill you when you're not willing to know that that's a close family member that's doing that. I need to go. Or I can't cope with the idea that, oh, she would never do that. She would never. What are you listening to? Because if we're going to stand around blind and ignorant, then we get what we get. And I work very diligently myself to try to educate people. However, I'm not going to stand around and try to save people that are talking about making a comparison between an ascended master and somebody who's still walking on this planet. That's ballsy, and it's just way out there. So I can't align with that kind of stuff, and I definitely, absolutely don't put my stamp of approval on any kind of bullshit that would include a holy person, especially designated as such, whether it's self-declared or just found to be, I'm a minister of this because I went to this school of religion to say such, whatever. We have a lot of qualified people in a lot of qualified places. However, don't mistake what you see, hear, or smell is that we have a whole lot of people that are unqualified because what's coming out of their mouth doesn't make sense. It's inconsistent. We have abortion issues in holy people. We have all kinds of sleeping around with married people and adultery, public acts of quite indecency, rape, assault, drug issues, and, sanctimony about the homosexuality thing. Well, okay, then, no, there's too much evidence all the way around. And when people want to talk to me, sorry, dude, you sound like a clown. I don't mess with that. And anybody that's aligning with it, God bless them, honestly. God bless them. I have to release that into the ethers and say, I certainly hope they find their way. And when they do not, then bless their transition as they go and they continue to go down and suffer. However, taking other people with you and assigning it because they aren't worthy somehow, no, that is not what I heard in the story. That's not what comes out of the good book in the portions that are really, really, really real. And let's just talk about all the stuff that was hidden away. And too much of the story has been lost and translated, and it doesn't matter because I'd be happy to be the first person, though I'm not. I'd be happy to be the one to declare that I don't care what sacred text you come from. If you don't have enough understanding of what it is to be hungry or to be without, to go with poverty as your way of being, then please hush it, shut it. And even if you have, and you come up and you say, well, I came out of that, okay, that's fantastic. However, humanitarian aid and compassion are not sins. They are necessary if we're ever going to break this dumb cycle that people are so obtuse to believe that because I have it, then all's good. Well, when you lose it, well, that won't happen because I'm going to guarantee it and shut down the whole government and start talking out of the side of my neck some more. I pray, honestly, every single day, I pray for the ignorant, obtuse people to see the light, the true light, the real one, the new earth, the new world order, whatever is confusing you, may you find your way through. And until you do, please sit your ass down because you're lethal. And unfortunately, putting bills into consideration that knock out entire populations of people and allow for children to be flown up to Martha's Vineyard and dropped off at Christmas from the state of Florida out of Texas and bullshit like that. Do you have children? If you wouldn't do that to your own child, why would you do that to someone else? And when you can't get an answer other than, well, that's because, that's an obtuse person that, Father, forgive them because they're fools is really where that goes for me. And one day I probably would be able to say, please forgive them, for they know not what they do. However, we've had enough time on deck now that we really need to be knowing what we're doing. And we have enough people that are alive and awake and knowing and can see just fine and smell the fetid, nasty, devilish stuff that is so horrible. So my rant is over for now, but please, if there's anything going on in your world that triggers you to feel like you don't deserve somehow, that's some bullshit. Feel free to stand up right where you are and claim your spot and say, I deserve to have food, water, safety, and shelter. And it's mine to make it happen after that. However, my basic needs as a human being, a deer does not get born into this world without a full understanding that food, water, safety, and shelter are guaranteed to it, to the extent that humans aren't going to hunt it down and kill it in its environment. However, the natural world already understands that all of those things are guaranteed. It's humans that don't understand that and that have monkeyed with it long enough. And no matter what anybody's theology is, I don't have to be theological or spiritual to have a heart and see that hungry children, punishing them and, you know, treating them like they're criminals because their parents can't pay for something, or criminalizing parents who may or may not have the background to support the kind of work that you're talking about being able to do to pull them out of horrible cycles. And again, I'm an educated woman, and I was brought to my knees with poverty instantly out of childish behavior and that kind of bullshit. So my rant is over. I hope you have a fantastic day, whatever part of the day you're in, and please get within, because you're divine. It is absolutely fine, and it can guide you. However, if you need help, you need assistance to get you through as you are working those steps and leaving the shame behind and disconnecting from people that tell you you are unworthy, that can help you get there. May you find that. May you find it quickly and find great compassion within yourself, and know that there are people out here just like me, and probably better at doing it more quickly, you know, with those that are stubborn and obstinate, that there are people who care, that there are people very much dedicated to those that want out of the holes that they're in. I'm not talking about rescuing people that don't want to be out of their holes. You want to be in your dark hole? I'm going to leave you to be in your dark hole. And punishing those that are desperately seeking to get out. I was desperately seeking to get out and had all the education behind me that I could, and it was an act of God and miracle after miracle after miracle that I could get out. So if here I am, this brilliant lady who should be able to, I was on the chopping block. Think about people who started out with even less than I did. So take care of yourself, and please do get inside your own skin to your within, because you're divine. It really is fine. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again next time. Bye, friends.